Hey guys, welcome to Double Thrill. I'm John Calvin, and today we're going to be taking a bit of a look at Battlefield Hardline. We're going to be breaking this down into a series of sections for a bit of a first look, really, my first impressions, what I think of the game, how I feel the game's going to play out. We're going to be taking a look at the story mode first, specifically the prologue here. I think it sets out a bit of a feel for the game though, sort of what's going to go on. It's a bit of a strange take, a bit of a strange move for a Battlefield game, really, to go with this cops and robbers sort of angle, because they usually stick to military sort of stuff, but it's interesting to see what they're going to do with it, and it's quite an interesting game. I mean, I'll talk more about that in the multiplayer, because that's what really matters with a Battlefield game, but the story is important. I mean, as you can see, the graphics in this game are gorgeous. They really seem to have done a good job on it, particularly the facial animation. I mean, it's one of the first next-gen games that I've seen that really seems to take advantage of the power within the consoles now. Apart from the Order, which also looked great, this game looks gorgeous. There's the lens flare as usual, sort of classic Battlefield. As you can see, they're going for quite a gritty story by the looks of it, which I'll talk about again later, but it's kind of quite strange because it's a sort of conflict with the story. It doesn't really make sense in some context, because sometimes it takes on this almost jokey kind of Brooklyn Nine-Nine element to it, and then sometimes it's quite sort of gritty and realist, like CSI. Obviously it's lacking a lot of realism. You know, most cops don't kick in doors, hang out cars, and gun people down constantly, but it seems to kind of take itself quite seriously sometimes, which I found quite strange. And the way this story kind of plays out in this prologue, I mean, you'll see here this section's quite jokey. You know, as you can see, it's got to use your big boy voice. It's kind of joking around, and then later on scenes are kind of quite serious. And I found that quite a strange contrast. I'm not sure it exactly works. I mean, the gunplay and the general feel of the game does feel like a Battlefield game. I mean, all this section of story, although in quite a strange setting, it does feel like a Battlefield game. But it'd be interesting to see what they do with this sort of episodic nature they've gone to the story, and not to say it's, you know, like sort of a Telltale game or anything, but they've chose to do it like a TV show, you know, with previously like sort of Battlefield Hardline and all this sort of stuff, which I found quite strange. As you can see, the gunplay is quite interesting. Very similar to the old Battlefield games, but it felt really good. It feels really smooth, you know. Can't really complain about the sort of gunplay at all. I think it all works really well. And there you go. Just slaughtered, what, 4 people there, average day for a cop, and they're just kind of shooting the breeze here, aren't they? Like, oh, well, that was kind of inconvenient. Which is the parts I found quite strange. But, you know, I'm enjoying it so far. You see the little chase here that leads up to the car section, which is one thing I do want to talk about. The vehicles in this game are probably my only criticism so far, but it's a massive criticism, really. As you can see, sliding along the bonnet there like all cops do. They do feel a little bit clunky. I don't know, there is this sort of cardboardy, sort of like not very smooth feel to them, and I think that's a bit of a disappointment for a Battlefield game, because it's very orientated around vehicles, so the vehicles need to feel good. And I hate to say this as a criticism, because I feel like it's a big one, but they don't feel 100%. They do feel slightly clunky. This is this sort of high octane gameplay here, which I kind of do like. Battlefield games have been doing it in recent years. This kind of AAA blockbuster sort of, I want to say Hollywood movie style, but they're going for more of a TV, you know, high-end TV show feel these days. But these TV shows feel more like Hollywood anyway these days. So, as you can see, it ends pretty climactic there, with this guy sort of doing about 50 flips in his car, as you do. Just go and arrest the guy now. Don't call an ambulance or anything, you know, don't bother. And there he is. Still fighting. And now it kind of kicks into what you can expect from the game, these sort of short clips of this TV show-esque style that they're going for. I do find it quite strange they've gone for this sort of TV-esque, you know, start-up here. It kind of feels quite weird, but I don't know, I'm in the mind that Battlefield could do a cops and robbers thing quite good. I know it's becoming a bit of a trend at the minute, this cops and robbers sort of style of game, but I do feel like they've got the ability to do it quite well. I mean, they've got all the right actors here, it seems like, to do this, so see how the story plays out. That's a little first look at the prologue there, but what I'm going to move into now is going to be the multiplayer, and I'm going to pick out 3 modes that I really like so far on the multiplayer, all new modes as well to Battlefield Hardline, interestingly. So, see what you guys think. We're going to take a little bit of the multiplayer. There was the story. Pretty good so far, not too bad, but the multiplayer is what really matters. Okay guys, so this is it. I'm going to be showing you the multiplayer here now, and this is what really matters in a Battlefield game. This is what a lot of people see as important, and I mean this is what's going to keep you coming back, keep you playing. Going to be showing you the heist mode first. This is one mode I picked out as my sort of favourite game mode, and this is like the premier mode, you know, this is what they showed off in the beta, and basically the way the mode works is, you know, same as like the bit, you had this bank and you have to, the robbers have to break into the vault and steal the money and get it out to these sort of drop points, and the cops have to defend that and stop the robbers from taking it to the drop points. Don't mind the dark outlines around my hoodie, that's because I've got a gas mask on, so just slightly distort the game, but you know, my idea was if gas grenades go off, then yeah, I'll be okay. So as you can see here, we're sort of running off a bag here. I think we're trying to get it to a checkpoint, and this game mode's quite fast, it's quite frantic. This is a lot of people, this annoyed a lot of people, you know, when they first played this mode, because this is going to be the main mode, and it feels a lot more faster paced than a Battlefield game, which I kind of like. I kind of like that condensed feeling to it. It's a lot more quick. It's not like a drawn out sort of battle like the Conquest modes are bottom of the sort of table here. They haven't focused on them, and I don't know, I kind of like that. I do like this mode, but I do agree, and it feels a little bit rushed sometimes. It does feel a little bit too frantic, but it's enjoyable. I mean, as you can see here, the fast pace of it here, where we grab one of the bags that we're trying to steal and then try to run it out to a sort of, you have to run it to helicopter sort of checkpoints where you drop them off, and yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty good mode. As their main mode, I mean, I'm not too sure if they should have gone a bit, but there's a couple of other modes that I kind of like as well. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the DLC, because obviously they've got similar DLC plans to what they did before. Here you can see the vehicles, and maybe, I don't know if you can see from the video, but you might get an impression of what I mean by the vehicles are a little bit clunky, which is a bit of a disappointment, but that might change, you never know, with patches and stuff these days. They might patch it and make them a little bit more smoother, I doubt it, but so here's a drop point. They're like those red circle, that spray paint there, that's where you drop off the bags and helicopters drop in and they pick up the money. And if you're the cops, I think this bit that I'm playing now, I think this is where I'm playing cops, so this is where you defend a lot more. Yeah, here I'm playing cops, so this is the sort of defend side. Feels a little bit different to other Battlefield stuff I've played, but I kind of like that. I like that they changed it up a bit, you know. They have gone for something a bit more risky, but not too sure if it was a good idea to run this as your main mode. This one's called Grow House here, so this is where you have to defend the robbers from sneaking into a sort of marijuana growing palace, if you want to call it something like that, and stop them from stealing all the cash inside. So as you can see from a lot of the shooting sections and the grenades, the weapons and all that, it all feels sort of very similar. It's not really, you know, moved too much away from what it already was really, but yeah, this is one of the modes I really enjoyed. I'd like to see it expanded a little bit. Some of the maps don't feel exactly great in this mode. There is a few ones that are really good, like especially the one they showed in the beta. I mean, they weren't stupid putting that one in because it is one of the better maps. This one's also pretty good. A lot of them are reused for some of the other modes. I'll go into a few of the other modes in a minute. Along with this one, there's only two others that I picked out that I really sort of liked. He's inside the grow hairs here. This is where the bags are that the robbers have to try and steal. Randomly just throw a grenade. You see how bad I am at Battlefield here. Slight overkill here, but you know, better safe than sorry. For once the gas max actually comes into use here, and I get 2 kills through the gas because I don't get affected by it. And yeah, that's heist mode, so going to be moving on to take a look at some of the other modes now. So moving on guys, now we're going to be looking at the Blood Money mode, the second mode that I picked out of the Battlefield multiplayer that I really enjoyed. This is kind of an interesting mode. I'm going to miss out Hotwire there. I found that obviously that's more vehicle based, so with the slight problem I feel that the vehicles have got. I didn't enjoy that too much. It's still a pretty good mode, but I don't know what it is about this Blood Money. I kind of enjoyed it. There wasn't a lot of people playing it last week. There's a hell of a lot more now. You do need a big team for this to make it fun. It's an interesting mode. Basically, you have a pile of cash at the centre of the map. Each of you have a vault, and you have to, you know, the robbers and the cops have to each run to this sort of pile of cash, pick up as much money as they can, and take it back to the vault. The people with the most cash at their vault win. At the end, you have to hit a certain amount of cash. But the interesting thing is, not only can you take cash from the centre of the sort of map, you can also go and sort of raid their vault and take their cash, and it makes for an interesting game, because sometimes the opposing team will be massively winning, then you'll do a massive raid on their vault, and you know, you can totally turn the tide in one sort of well executed raid on their vault, which it makes the game sort of interesting. Again, it's quite fast paced. A lot of people said this version of Battlefield, this Hardline version, is a lot more fast paced, but I sort of like that. As you can see here, this is where the money is. We're all sort of grabbing it here, loading up our bags, and about to run it back to the vault. It's quite a strange game mode, but again, it's sort of a bit different for Battlefield. Again, they're trying something new, but this is another one that I really enjoyed, that I really liked. I feel like that fast-paced sort of gameplay suited this game mode very well. And plus, as a little tip, it is quite an easy way to make money quite fast, because the multiplayer revolves around you have to make cash in the game to spend on weapons for your characters, and you have to buy separate weapons for the robbers and the cops. So it takes quite a lot of money, but this game seems to generate quite a lot of cash, and it's quite enjoyable also. Next up, we're going to take a look at another game mode that I like. Okay, so this is going to be the last mode that I'm going to show you that I plucked out of the multiplayer as sort of one of my favourite modes. You know, these were my top 3. This is going to be Rescue. This is a lot different mode compared to the others. It's less fast and frantic. It's more slow paced, more measured. It's a lot more tactical. It's very reminiscent of sort of Counter-Strike. Basically, you have the cops and you have the robbers again, same setup as always, and you have 2 hostages on the map, and the sort of bad guys have to stop the cops from rescuing the hostages, and the cops have to sort of move in, rescue the hostages, or kill all the sort of robbers. So it's basically sort of like Counter-Strike setup, you know, with the bomb and stuff like that. You have to either defuse the bomb or kill all the sort of terrorists, and it's exactly similar sort of thing. I think a lot of Battlefield purists might actually enjoy this mode a bit more, because it is really slowed down. It's a lot more measured. You have to consider your weapons. You have to think about what you're using. Because of that 1 death per round, you have to be a lot more cautious. You can't just sort of run around weapons blazing. You know, you have to think a lot more tactically. It seems like a very team-based mode. I think you need communication for this mode, and I mean, you can see it here. You can see how it works. It's a mode I kind of really enjoyed it. It was very reminiscent of Counter-Strike for me. I think that's why I enjoyed it, but it suits the Battlefield style, I think, really well. And you know, that's it really. That's those 3 modes for me that I really enjoyed from this multiplayer so far. Like I said, there's going to be a review up on the site. This is just a bit of a first look, sort of giving you a bit of an idea what I think about the multiplayer and what I think about the single player. So far, I'm going to say I feel like it's pretty good. I know that's sort of a non-statement, just saying it's pretty good, but I feel like the game feels more condensed. It feels smaller. You know, some of the other Battlefields felt like this massive thing where there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of different weapons, and this has this sort of smaller, tighter feel, like some of the Bad Company games, which I sort of like. And you know, it does feel like a bit of a spin-off series, but I feel like this could really work, and I feel like as long as the multiplayer stays as solid as what it is and the DLC is good, then this game could really do well. Thanks for watching, guys. I've been John Calvin, and this has been Double Thrill.